those of you who don't know me, I'm T. Falcon Napier. I'm the founder of the Institute for Productive Tension. We're based out of Davidson, North Carolina. This year we celebrate 32 years in business. I've been doing this for a good long while now. Started off as a professional speaker and trainer. I've done a total of 25,000 hours of presentations plus. We tend to focus more on sales, leadership, and change management topics, and we're best known around the world for 3 programs that we do. MasterStream, which is an influencing skills program. ChangeWorks, which is a program that focuses on the change grid and using it as a tool for coaching and managing people more effectively. And Pride-Based Leadership, how to build and get the most out of the people that are on your team. I've worked with well over 400 clients up to now, a total audience of over 1 million people, but most important, we have a team of now over 300 people who we have certified. They're independent professionals, and it's because of them that this program actually came to be. So to tell you a little bit about the program itself, Building a Career That Matters is a program that we offer as a totally free series to all members of the human development industry. So we do encourage you to invite all of your colleagues to join in on this. This is not a sales pitch or a preview of something bigger we're trying to sell anybody. We really do want to do what we can do to help our industry succeed. And where this came from was a 2010 study we did about failure among human development professionals in private practice. We were kind of wondering, why is it that so many truly, truly wonderful people start practices as coaches and trainers and consultants? And they've got lots of background, lots of good credentials, lots of great training. All that stuff is in place, but they ultimately struggle, and many, many of them end up failing along this line of work. And to be perfectly candid, there's no excuse for it. The bottom line is that in order to build a career that really matters, there are things that you need to do, and there are things that you need to stop doing. And so to whatever degree I can, I'd like to share with you those best practices about what patterns we've found in people who've built successful businesses. And I'd certainly like to give you some big warnings about things you need to avoid doing if you don't want to end up becoming yet another victim in this industry. So from the 2010 study, we were able to identify the better part of 50 different roadblocks that were standing in people's way of building a successful practice. And from working with the professionals over all these years, we've come up with a few more of our own. So we've ended up with a full set now of some 52 roadblocks. So each week for the next year, we will be exploring one of these roadblocks in detail. Again, it is a free series, so we do hope you'll share it with everyone. Obviously, we do it because the healthier our industry is, the more likely we are to meet professionals who might find the work that we do particularly interesting and might choose to explore it and become certified, take a class, something like that. So we do hope this leads to good business outcomes for us as well. But we really believe that if we can do something to help make our industry stronger, then in the long run, that's going to help everyone who's involved. Today's topic, roadblock number 1, beginning with the wrong frame. And the key question here is, what business are you really in? The article that I pointed you to is called The Business of Helping. Again, you can find that on the Building Career That Matters homepage, but also under on the left navigation, you'll find Materia Gratis, which obviously translates into free stuff, and there you'll find a list of all the articles there as well. So you have a couple of places to do that. Also, when we broadcast the events for the coming week, we'll usually put that article in there as well. So lots of ways for you to get to that reinforcement article. So now, with that, the question begins, what business are you in? And hopefully a lot of you did take some time to read the article in advance of today's call, so that kind of set the stage hopefully in your mind. But this is the beginning of the year, so let's begin with the very first roadblock. One of the things we noticed very early on was that a great many of the people who started practices as human development professionals wanted to help people. And that was their primary motivator. The people who decided that what they wanted was a business that happen to focus on helping people have ended up doing far better. And so you need to begin this year by asking yourself the question, what kind of business have you been in up to now, and what kind of business do you want to be in from this point forward? And so to do that, I put together a little bit of a question and session for you here. So what I want you guys to do is, as we work our way through these questions, I want you to give some thought to it, and then I'd also be curious if you could type your answers over to me. I won't share them, with everyone. I'm just kind of curious to understand some of the patterns that might exist among those of you who are actually on the call today. And so here's the first one. What business are you in? Do you find yourself spending more hours each week providing services for free or for a fee? Now, one of the comments people have thrown at me as we've asked this question before is, well, I spend most of my hours every week doing something that isn't about providing services, period. They spend the majority of the time that they have devoting to their practice every week doing things that aren't even about providing services. So there's a gigantic flag we'll get into in grand detail as this course continues. But now I want you to focus on the actual hours you are spending delivering services to an end user. Are you providing those services more for free or for a fee? So go ahead and give some thought to that one. Where are you putting most of it right now, for free or for a fee? By the way, giving someone a complimentary session in the hopes that it will lead to billable services is still providing services for free. And so make sure you tally this up there. So right now, what direction are you guys leaning? You leaning towards for a fee, or you're leaning towards for free? Let's see, got a couple of comments already coming in. How about for less money than feels like it's worth it? So somewhere between fee and for the free. Yeah, for a fee and for free. Yeah, we'll be getting to that in some great detail in just a moment. Mostly for a fee, but not nearly enough of them. And see, this is the year that has to change. It's a wonderful thing to be able to provide people with services purely because you want to be of service to them, and you know they need their help, and that's a wonderful thing. And as I said in the article, that might buy you a particularly fluffy cloud after this life is over, but during this lifetime that may not be bringing you the level of revenue that you need, let alone the level of revenue that you really, really want. So there you go. All right, now, next question. Do you often throw in additional services because you think your client would benefit from it, even though they weren't willing to pay for it? So this is about sweetening the deal for really no reason on the financial side of things, but because of all the great knowledge and skill you have, you just can't resist the temptation to throw stuff in. And I get it, that when you're throwing stuff in, you do feel like you're providing them with additional value, and you might be creating some deeper levels of bonding with them. All that may very well be true. But you are giving away time. And you can probably afford to do that to a certain point, but beyond that point, you are no longer able to generate what is required for your business to sustain itself. Now, sometimes people say, well, I don't throw in the additional services because I think the client would benefit even though they weren't willing to pay for it. I just throw it in because I want them to have it. They might have actually been willing to pay for it, but never really explored that bit. So some people have the issue as stated in the question. Other people just can't resist the temptation to do it. Yeah, because well, it's a guilty. And I get it. Your hearts are in the right place. You want to be of service to others. That's really wonderful. But today we're focusing on this question: what business are you in? Are you in the helping business, so the emphasis is placed on helping and the business takes the secondary seat? Or are you in the the business of helping, where the business is what the focus is, and the fact is what you do as your business is you help people? So what business are you really in? It might seem like a very minor, subtle, kind of a nuanced difference, but I think it's very profound. So next question. Do you hesitate to talk about what your hourly or daily rate is? Or even worse, do you offer your services for different rates for different people in different situations? I guess to really be blunt about it, are you embarrassed or ashamed by what you charge for, or what you think you should be charging for what you do? Is that piece of information so toxic on the tongue that you just can't make yourself say what it is that you charge? So if you aren't confident in the amounts that you're charging for the services you're providing, or you're going to be tentative about what you're charging, don't be surprised when your prospect is tentative about accepting that fee or even moving forward with you. Let's see, getting lots of comments. So someone says, someone recommended that I should be willing to discount if I need the client, so I'm doing that. Here's the thing we have to be very careful of, and it has to do with fee integrity. When we reward someone who was resistant to hiring us at the price we were asking, what message are we sending to the people who were willing to pay us the price that we were asking? I would hate to think of the message that we're sending them as they were fools for not, dragging their feet. They were foolish somehow or another for not recognizing, had they held back, we would have lowered the price. And so my biggest reason against discounting is because I believe that discounting our services for one client shows a tremendous level of disrespect for the people who were willing to pay us, but maybe even more so, disrespect for ourselves. If we have ever had a client who is willing to pay us what we were asking, we have established that we can get that for our services. We're worth that. For us to go and compromise it because we need the business, I would say to you there are other ways of correcting that issue than there is to move into a discounting mode. So it seems that people turn to the discounting strategy, I believe, prematurely and without real justification. There are reasons why we would provide discounts to clients, and let it be because they're using a tremendous amount of your time and so they get a volume discount, or they've been with you forever and then some, and so they get their rate grandfathered. But if we're just going to lower the price because they won't pay us or it doesn't seem like they'll pay us what we want and we need the deal, there's a bigger issue that we really should be focusing on to do that. Let's see, I'm often afraid people won't value my services enough or can't afford me. Well, if the truth is they can't afford you, this should have come up during the marketing work that you were doing. So remember that the whole point of marketing is to create inquiries about our services, and the next little step following that inquiry is to immediately qualify the prospect. Are they someone who can use our services? Do they want our services? And can they pay for those services? If they don't meet all three of those criteria, then are they really qualified for you to even be chatting to, or would it be best for you to let them move on to someone else? Now, and by the way, I'm not saying that we shouldn't give away a certain amount of our time, as we'll get to later on in today's presentation. There is a spot for that. But let that be a conscious, deliberate choice that you are making to give someone these complimentary services or profoundly discounted services because there's something about them that merits it. Like maybe they're a charity, or maybe you've decided to sort of tithe your time and give away 10% of your time every single month to people who are never going to be in the position to hire you, at least in the short run. So you're doing something purely as an act of giving, not because you're scrambling to try to get the deal. Okay, let's see another comment. Feel guilty. Let's see, when I do the, when you give away the discount, feeling guilty about it. Yep. It's not good for you, it's not good for you. And also, if I give a particular prospect a discount, how excited am I to use that person as a testimonial or reference on a future deal, for fear that they may actually share with that prospect that they received a discount from what I might be asking. And so we're really big about this. I mean, I adopted a no discount rule years and years and years ago. So I just chalk it up to fee integrity. This is what I charge. This is what I expect. And if I can't, no, that doesn't mean we can't be creative. And later on, you got a whole year of training that I'm going to be giving you. There are certainly ways that you can offer discounts that still protect fee integrity. I'll give you one example of this right now. One of the things that I routinely did when my primary business was working with corporate clients and delivering training programs was I would put an entire year, I'll do it this way, in December of a particular year, I would put the following year on sale. And I would say to all of my clients, 2015 is on, or 14 is on sale right now. If you are willing to reserve and pay for in full time now, then you get the discount for next year. Now, you don't have to tell me what date next year you really want. Just tell me how many days you want to pre-book, and I will sell you those days at a discounted rate, but they have to be paid in full in advance. One of the reasons why I did that was because, at least for many of the corporate clients I've worked with, a lot of these training departments or a lot of these managers we work with have training dollars left in their budget at the end of their year. And if they don't spend that money, they're going to lose that money. And so I wanted to give them a creative way to take advantage of what's in their budget and Give them a discount, give me a really great ending to the year, and so that's a little strategy there. One of you is saying that you're not sure if you're qualifying people properly or not marketing the people who can pay, questioning my rates rather than looking at where and to whom I'm marketing. It's very interesting, you know. I'll tell you a little parallel thought about this. I don't know how many of you have ever seen the show or watch What Not to Wear. And one of the things that I picked up from watching some of these episodes of What Not to Wear is that when people try on a garment and when they walk on and look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, they blame their body rather than blaming the garment. And the truth is that they just need to put on something else. That garment wasn't cut right for them or whatever the case may be. I feel like the same thing is happening with human development professionals. We go out there and we encounter some sort of pushback about someone engaging us or engaging us at a particular price. And so we think, well, there must be something wrong with me or there must be something wrong with my price. No, what we need to do is try on a different prospect. So this prospect doesn't fit us, we don't fit them. And so we have to be willing to kind of, put the garment back on the rack, if you will, and let things happen there. So I think you're right. It has a lot to do with qualifying the people that we're talking to and a lot to do with the people that you're marketing for. And so as we work our way through these weeks, we'll be talking about all this in detail. Okay, so next little thing, click over here. So next little thing to think about. Do you feel like you're still paying your dues and shouldn't be charging what others in the field routinely charge? This is a pattern that we've noticed, particularly in people who are relatively new to operating a private practice. And the thing that I have always said to them is like, so is there a timetable that I never saw when I started my business that said in year 1 you can only ask for 50% of what someone who's got 10 plus years of experience might be providing, and in year 3 you can go up to 75. I never got that document. So my thought was that what I was selling was the value of what I'm doing. And so I figured that the value of what I'm bringing to them is totally independent of my age. It's totally independent of how long I've been in the practice. It's totally independent of many variables. I am bringing someone something of value, and that value has a price tag attached to it. Why should that price in some way reflect the amount of experience that I have? Or how about the flip side? Why would I want to communicate to a prospective client that I don't have the level of experience that I should have to justify charging a full fee? What? So you know your stuff and you bring people value. So this thought about paying dues is a big excuse, and it's something that's very commonly found among people who are in the helping business rather than the business of helping. Let's see, am I getting comments about that? Oh, yeah, yeah. Right, yeah. See, this is it. I really don't believe we are paid. Your dues are fully paid. So just go out there, decide what the market is you're going after, decide what the rate is that you can be comfortable with, and that's it. It's just the way it is. Decide that you are already fully qualified to receive full compensation for the work that you're doing. The sooner you adopt that attitude, the sooner you'll be getting that kind of money. Okay. So, and by the way, just so you guys know, that I want you to understand, I started my business when I was 24 years old. So this is something that I've had as my philosophy from the very beginning. I was very young when I did this, and I didn't want my clients to even raise an eyebrow. It was what it was, and I held tight to it, and I've consistently gotten it over all these years. The next question. Did you get into this line of work primarily because you wanted to A, make money, or B, help people, and you can't choose both? So the question here is primarily. Did you get into this line of work primarily because you wanted to make money or help people? So go ahead and start typing me some answers to that. I'd be very curious. So right now, if you chose help people, then you are probably building a helping business rather than a business of helping. And that means you are more likely to be making choices that are to the advantage of the people that you are serving, but could very well be to your disadvantage. So somewhere you have to really look at the results that philosophy has brought you. If it's bringing you what you need, you got great people doing great work, and you're making plenty of money, more power to you. Have a great time. Tell us how you did that. But if the truth is that you're helping a whole lot of people but not making a whole lot of money, then this is the year that you might want to make a transition. And I'm not talking about jumping to the other extreme, but can we at least start moving in that direction? So you're here to make money. This is why you have this. Next one. Is it your heart's truth that you are driven more by altruistic motives like helping people, or are you really driven by personal gain? Well, obviously, oh wait, getting lots of comments about this one. Let's see what people are saying here. Make money, but do good stuff. Exactly. Help people. Be careful. But now I need this to be about making money. And this is what some of you are, this is the pattern that we see. We hear a lot of our professionals, even our top performing professionals today, say that they find themselves slipping into that helping business and have to remind themselves on an ongoing basis that they are in a business first, and what this business happens to do is help other people. So this is great. Yeah, and one of you is saying, I'm helping others, but I'm hurting myself by not making money. Yep, so let's make this year the year where that changes. Okay, so now I will tell you that if you do have very strong altruistic motives about helping other people, you'll be able to help a lot more people if you are financially successful than if you're not. And so why don't we focus on making sure that you are healthy and you are well taken care of, and then that puts you in the better position to help others. If your idea of altruism involves self-sacrifice, you can predict pretty easily where that's going to end up. Okay, so another little question to help you determine what business you're in. Do you ever feel like it's inappropriate for you to actually charge people just for having a conversation with them? So do you ever feel that way? Interesting. Is it inappropriate to actually charge people just for having a conversation with them? Now, this came up very early on, years and years ago, when I would meet someone who just said, well, you know, all I'm doing is talking to someone. How much could that possibly be worth? Because they didn't understand how a consultant, you know, we're talking back 30 years ago, could be charging $100, $150, $200 an hour just for having a conversation with someone. Now, of course, this predates coaching as the formal profession it's become now. But even still, people would have that mindset. All I'm doing is talking to someone. Or you'd even hear your prospects say that to you. You charge that much when all you're doing is talking to me? All you're doing is having a conversation? Well, you know, we really aren't charging people for the conversation, are we? We're charging people for the impact that that conversation has on their attitudes, beliefs, and behavior. Ultimately, if we get their attitudes, beliefs, and behavior to be more in line with the path they need to be on for success, the more likely they are to get to that success. So the fact that we happen to have a lot of conversations with people is not what it is we actually do. So it's just kind of incidental to what we do. All right, let's see. Come on. Yeah. Well, yeah. It depends on the quality of the conversation. So true. So true. All right. Next question. Do you feel guilty when you choose not to help someone when they say they can't pay you, particularly when you know you could help them? Now, I'm not talking about your little friends and colleagues and you know, people you meet at little networking events, things like that. I'm talking about when you're actually working towards getting a real piece of business with a real client, someone that you have been cultivating or whatever, and you find out that they're not in the position to pay you or pay you what it is that you want, but you really feel like you could help them, and you might think it could lead to something else. So you feel guilty because you really should help them, and you also feel guilty because what were you going to do instead? Maybe that would have been a good investment of your time just to help you, you know, build your business. But if you have this mindset that you actually feel guilty when you say no, you're probably in the helping business, not the business of helping. All right, let's see what comments I'm getting on this one. Yes, it says, arg, please make it stop. Yeah, exactly true. I do feel guilty in that scenario. It has made me question whether I should just help them at a discount. The thing you always have to be aware of is that when you discount, or the question you have to ask is, when you discount, is there a justifiable reason to give this person a discount? Like if any of you were to go and look at my fee schedule, you would see that I charge a different rate when I'm working for a nonprofit organization than I do when I'm working with a profit organization. And I charge a different rate if I have to travel internationally, or if I have to travel more than X number of hours, or if it's in my own backyard. And so there are lots of justifiable reasons why one rate for a customer might be different than a rate you give to another customer. But the only reason why I'm discounting it is because they're being stubborn, or because I'm kind of buying into what they're saying about the availability of resources, then we got some issues, again, that need to be dealt with first. By the way, they may not have the money, but there may be other ways that they could compensate you which would make it okay. And so as we work our way through these weeks of training, I will start telling you how you can say to someone who does not have the actual cash to give you what else it is that they could probably offer you that would give you full value for the services you're providing, even though not all that value would be in cash. Okay, a couple more to finish up here. Have you been taught to give away your services as a marketing strategy? This infuriates me, just so you know. We talk to a great many professionals in the world of coaching and consulting and training, and particularly this is for coaches. There are many, many schools of coaching that tell people that the best way for you to get a client is to actually give them a real coaching session. So actually help them to identify an issue that's pressing them right now, help them to explore it, help them to develop strategies, new insights, so that at the end of it, or that free session, they actually feel like you've given something very valuable, very tangible, very useful, all those great kinds of things. Well, here's the issue. From a tension management perspective, what you've just done is opened up a door for that individual to bring to you their most pressing issue. And by the time they're finished talking to you, that issue is now pretty much resolved. So their tension has now come down. Their need for you has come down as well. So now when you ask them they'd like to engage your services, you're very likely to hear them say, that was so valuable. Thank you so much for that, but I really need to think about it. Let me work on what it is you've given me so far and come back. And so this advice to give away a full-blown coaching session is bad advice. I'm telling you, it is among the worst advice I have ever heard anyone be given. And it really bothers me. I'm not going to teach people how to coach. I would like the coaching schools to stop teaching people how to sell. And so two different professions requiring two different skill sets, and you need to view them as two very different things if you want to build a successful practice. So should you do a sample session? Maybe, but there are some very specific rules that should govern what it is that you actually do during that session in order to demonstrate your skills, prove your value, yet protect your opportunity. And that's where most people's approach falls apart. So we do not give away what it is that we are trying to sell. Now, people have said to me, well, then why do you do Building a Career That Matters? I don't sell this. This isn't this year-long program. This is not our core material. This isn't our programs or our services. This isn't what we do. So I'm not giving away something that I would love to sell to the right people. I'm giving something away that I happen to have, and I'm giving it. And so this is not really giving away our actual services. This is just giving people some added value, I think, based on what it is that we've learned over all these years. Why not share it? Why not share it? So let's see, people are saying they've definitely been taught to do it. You feel terrible when they don't hire you. They feel like they can go on without you. Yep. And so this is it. We do not want people to give away what they're actually trying to sell. And so I promise you that as you work your way through this program, you will learn exactly how to position that demonstration of your services in a way that doesn't damage your opportunity. Okay, just a couple more of these, and then we're going to get into some of the best practices for people that are in the business of helping. So next one, are you struggling to make the kind of money you need, let alone the money you want? Now, what I hear from almost everybody is the answer is there, yes. So even the professionals who are more in the business of helping than in the helping business still struggle. And again, it's going to get back to the fact that they're experts when it comes to delivering whatever set of human development services they've studied and devoted themselves to. When did they become marketing experts? When did they become sales experts? When did that happen? And so I think we've got a lot of very talented people who really want to have that business of helping, and in many ways their mindset is leaning that way, but they still struggle with this marketing and sales element. In fact, I don't mind sharing with you guys that if you read the most recent update on the basic business viability study that we've been doing, the #1 issue that has come up is about marketing oneself successfully to your ideal prospect base. So that's one where people are saying it's the biggest task, it's the most challenging, it's the, I think it's second most important because closing the deal was the most important one, and they view their ability as being, I think, second to the bottom. And so it really is highly, highly problematic, and we'll be devoting a good deal of our energy this year to helping people to get that whole sales and marketing piece taken care of. Okay. One more. Have you found yourself wondering when all this giving of services to others will turn around and actually reward you? So that's just kind of a follow-up to there. And this is what I hear people say over and over. I've been giving. I've given over X number of free coaching services. How come no one is hiring my services? They all say it's really great. Okay, well, there's a reason for it. It's based on that pattern of relieving their tension. Okay, so with all that, the question now becomes, if you, as you did your little inventory there, feel as though you tend to be leaning more in the direction of the helping business rather than the business of helping, then how do we help you transition? And so let's talk a little bit about some of the mindsets that people who really run businesses of helping carry. And these also came from our discussions with our some of our most successful professionals on our team. So let's take a look at this. So #1, they view their business as being separate from themselves, something with a life of its own. So let me ask you a kind of a side question. Are you guys self-employed or do you have a business? I'd be very curious. Everyone type me an answer right now. Are you self-employed or do you actually have a business? In your head, what's the difference there? What's the difference there? So you're self-employed if you basically are going out there trying to land a client of some sort. You got some work to do and you're just kind of making sure you've got enough income to meet your needs, and that's great. And so when the day you retire, then your income stream is going to stop and you'll live off of retirement funds and all that good sort of a thing. This is just, you just happen to be self-employed. Now, people that are self-employed assume that at a certain point in time they will retire, and when they retire, their work life retires as well. There's nothing that endures, nothing that remains. On the other hand, if you are in the business of helping or view yourself as having a business, you're actually trying to build something that has value in and of itself. Value that you may be able to convert to greater cash later on down the road. And so this is when we talk about licensing something or building a team, creating such a robust client list that you can almost sell your practice to someone else that you kind of mentor up and through the organization. Do you have a business or are you self-employed? And so I will tell you that if you actually want to, to be as successful as you can be, you need to move that mindset in the direction of being self-employed. So let me give you a personal example of this, just so you know. Now, our business for these past 10 years or so has been about identifying, certifying, and supporting a relative handful of professionals who are out there delivering programs and using tools that happen to be our intellectual property. That's been our primary business. Well, occasionally I get pulled into doing some delivery of services for a particular client. And in the past few years, I've been doing quite a bit of client work. And all of you who have been working with us, you know who that client is. We don't need to name who they are. Well, this year I said, I need to make a conscious decision. There's kind of like a reawakening. So let me tell you this. It's great to have a corporate client who is willing to pay me good money to stand in front of their people and deliver a program for X amount of time. It's even better that they're willing to send me all around the world so I get to visit all these great cities and they're paying the bill for it. So that's all really, really wonderful. But here's the thing. It provides no real value to the business itself. It doesn't increase the value. It brings me revenue, but it doesn't do something to build the value of the organization. And so what builds the value of the organization? When I create more intellectual property, when I help our existing professionals to get stronger and stronger in their businesses, and I find additional people to join that team. This is actually building the business. And all that work being done for the corporate client is actually being self-employed. It might bring in revenue, and revenue is a good thing, but it isn't really building the business. Hopefully you guys feel that distinction or understand the distinction that I'm making there. And so I think that you want to ask yourself this. If you really want to build a business, you want to be putting some, if not most, of your energy in doing something that would continue to have value after you are gone. So is this about you taking this wonderful coaching practice that you have and realize that your style of coaching is something that other people could benefit from learning, and now you are teaching classes and having some curriculum built around your coaching methodology. Maybe you can certify people. Maybe you can do something to offer credits or whatever. What can you do to take what you've put your energy into and use it more as building a business rather than as being self-employed? And by the way, I'm not saying you have to be in business. If your choice is being self-employed, that's fine too. Just kind of know that there's a distinction there. If you view your business as being separate from yourself, you're going to make very different decisions than if you're self-employed. And so we'll talk about that in more detail if you'd like, but I want to kind of get this out there for you guys to be pondering. Next thing, that these people that are in the business of helping understand their number one priority is the care and feeding of their business. The reason why you're going out there and looking for bigger, better clients and getting bigger and better rates is because that's good for your business. It's building its value, it's building your branding, and these are things that you may very well be able to convert to cash. Wouldn't it be great if at a certain point you realized that your intellectual property, your business, is your most valuable asset, and you can convert that to cash if you choose to kind of be done with the whole thing at a certain point in time. So let's go ahead and start that way so we have more choices available to us down the road. Your number one priority this year should be the care and feeding of your business. So what do you need to put in place? What do you need to do in order to let that business be something that doesn't just survive or eke by, but something that actually thrives? Next thing to look at is the people that have the business of helping mindset are very cognizant of how people view them. They want to have people view them as a brand. And so they, at a certain point, stop taking the spotlight themselves and want the spotlight put on the work that they do instead. So let me tell you, again, this is about setting your business up to be able to convert it to something that has value down the road. So if the only reason why someone would give you money is because you are personally involved, you are standing in front of them or sitting in front of them, you are delivering the services, then the moment you stop doing that, you stop making money. On the other hand, if you have built a brand that is aside from yourself, so you build a brand around the name of your product, or you build your brand around your particular methodology, or you build your brand around some clever tagline you have about what it is that you do, you may very well be able to sell that as you reach the winter of your career path. So you need to recognize that people are either viewing you as an individual provider of services, or they are viewing you as the face of a brand, and maybe we can change that face, and the brand will still be great as time goes on. People that have the business of helping mindset own the truth of the value they bring to others. And so it's always interested me that clients want me to prove to them that I'm going to bring them more money than I cost. So I get it, this whole idea about return on investment. But it's really interesting how they go about calculating that. They figure that you are worth whatever an average hourly rate may be based on a little study of people who provide the kinds of services you provide in your general area. Now, I would say to you that the value that you bring to other people is actually the growth that they experience as a result of whatever it is that you did. And that growth can continue for years and years and years. And so how many of you believe that you have worked with a client and as a result of the work that you did, they have made tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, million or plus money as a result of what you did? So it isn't just about saying, I'm $500 an hour, and here's how can I bring you $500 in return or $501 in return. No, no, no. That's not the issue here. The question is, what is the long-term value of what it is that I'm bringing you? Or how about this? What is the long-term cost to you if you do not engage the services that I've been talking about? It isn't that you're going to save my little hourly rate. You're going to lose whatever that long-term value would be from whatever that knowledge, skill, experience, resource, whatever it is you happen to have given someone. So you need to own, and I mean own it, all capital letters, the truth of the value of what you actually bring to other people. So next thing, people with a business of helping mindset build relationships with people who see their value and are in the position to help them. Now, let's talk about this and contrast it with the people that are in the helping business. If you find yourself surrounded by people who want to pick your brain, who believe you've got all these great insights and these great skills, who just think you're just the greatest, that's really wonderful. They see your value. Are they in the position to also help you? They can help you either by engaging your services and actually paying you for what you're giving them, or can they help you by giving you referrals, serving as a great reference, partnering with you and getting into some bigger opportunities. I would suggest to you that people that are in the helping business surround themselves with people that like them, value them, appreciate them, but do not necessarily represent a greater opportunity beyond that. You can spend an inordinate amount of time with people who will give you all the positive feedback you have ever looked for about all the great things you do, but they are not paying you and they are not pointing you in the direction of additional business or supporting you in doing that. If that's the case, then you're giving without getting, and again, you can do a little bit of that and that'll get you a fluffy cloud someday, but it's not really going to help you build the business. So I think one really serious question for you guys to consider right now is, are you going to let 2014 be a year when you're going to invest your time and energy with other people who, as much as they value you, are not in a position to return that value to you in one way, shape, or form? So you got to have boundaries. And on behalf of your business, the right business decision is to align yourself with people who see your value and are in the position to help you. Those are the people you want to be a part. And by the way, that's kind of central to the work that we do with our team members. We hope that we have built relationships with people who see our value and that they see that we can very much help them. So we see they can help us. They see that we. So that's what it's really all about. We need both parts of this statement to match if we're going to have a successful practice. Okay, next one. People that have a business of helping mindset manage the expectations of others and operate within clear boundaries. We don't give stuff away just for the heck of giving it away. So there's reasons behind it, or it simply isn't done. We want to be very clear with people up front. One of the things that I find very dismaying about people in our line of work is that they engage a prospect, or a prospect engages them in services, but they never create a scope of work. It's all just a conversation about what are we going to do and how long is it going to take and what's the rate going to be and what's included and what's not included. It's all in this very kind of conversational final state. Well, unfortunately, time goes on and people start to think they should be getting additional services, or they remember things differently than you remember them. Or we miss opportunities because we're focused on some immediate small issue instead of looking at what the real work is that client represents. And so this idea about doing thorough needs assessments so that you can create comprehensive scopes of work does at least two things. Number one, it brings to your prospect's attention the full range of what it is they really need, and it puts in place expectations and boundaries that will help you to know when to draw the line and to be comfortable doing that. Let's see. Got a couple comments here. What if one of the values I bring is my compassion and presence? How do you turn that into a growth business? Well, here's the thing. You have great compassion and you have great presence. What does that trigger in the other person? Whatever it triggers in that other person should be leading to a positive outcome, or, well, then that's not what you should be focused on. So obviously you do this, you believe that it leads people to adopt changes in their attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors that are going to take them further down the road. That's still what you're selling. The value is not what you do. The value is not who you are. The value is what is it that that person is going to realize in their immediate future and for all the future yet to come. That's how we want to put it all together. What about a prior client that you want to stay in touch with? How do you keep staying in touch, meeting from becoming a coaching session? Well, it's really, that's a really great question. It's all about you knowing when to put the boundary in place. So if I'm doing a touch base kind of a talk with a conversation with a client, and they bring up something, I would say to them, that sounds like something that is really important to you. Let me draw up a scope of work for that and send it over to you. Or if I want to kind of get their commitment right away, I say, well, that sounds like something that's really going to make a difference for you. When should we set up a coaching session? So just go ahead and assume it into being the sale. And again, as we work our way through these 52 weeks, I'll share you very specific things that you can say or do to help that. But that's the general philosophy. So when saying that, this information is pretty much an answer to my prayers and needs right now. You're welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. All right, so a few more minutes. Let's go ahead and finish off these little mindset things. So this idea about managing the expectations of others. Recognize that if you don't manage their expectations, they will be managing yours. And that deal is always going to be to their favor. And again, I'm talking on behalf of your business. Please make decisions that are in the best interest of the business, even though it may feel like it's not in the best interest of you as an individual or your prospect as an individual either. I promise you, the more boundaries you have, the more likely you are to get what it is that you're really looking for and less of the things you don't want. Next one. People in the business of helping protect themselves from those who would exploit them. You guys probably all have at least one person that you know in this line of work who will pick your brain, take advantage of you, given any opportunity. And you know they're a good person in their heart of hearts, but for whatever reasons, they really are exploiting you. Now, it might just be that they're not returning the favor, but have you ever watched any of the information you give people suddenly appear elsewhere and you don't remember giving them permission to do that, or they've actually stolen something from you? This was my experience very, very early on. I was told that I should join the National Speakers Association, so I joined the local chapter. I went to a local chapter meeting. I was sitting at a table with a bunch of speakers, and they were asking me all kinds of questions about what do you talk about, what's the point, what makes your talk different, what are some of the key learnings people walk away with. And I thought that I was the new guy, and so they were all just being very warm and welcoming and all that sort of stuff. Well, lo and behold, I see a Chamber of Commerce events calendar about a month or so later, and it lists one of these people who's sitting at the table, and they're talking about the stuff I talked about at that table. And so at that moment, I decided I was either going to A, never join any of these organizations, or B, when I do join these organizations, I was going to be profoundly careful about what it is that I leaked out so that I would not equip other people to exploit me. And so I don't know how many of you have ever been taken advantage of, or how many of you have ever found your life's work suddenly appearing in someone else's offerings, but you need to do something to protect yourself. People in the business of helping recognize that there is always intellectual property that is unique to their business, and we'll be talking about that as detail as we go on with the program. But you guys may not recognize it, but all of you have unique intellectual property. You might think, well, you've gone through your training, you got your certification, you deliver the services, what's your intellectual property? You have all developed your own way, your own style, your own combination of tools and techniques. That starts to form intellectual property that is unique to your business. And so anything you could do to formalize that, to build upon that, is good for your business's financial future, but you must protect yourself from those who would exploit you by doing the right things with registrations and copyrights and trademarks and, not just blurting out everything to anybody and everyone who wants to hear it. So protect yourself. Next point, they don't give away what they're trying to sell. This is a big theme in our sales training program, Master Stream. We always talk about never give away what you're trying to sell. If you're doing a trade show, you have one of these booth kinds of things, you're at a kind of a networking event, you're trying to stimulate some interest in what you do. And so people go like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give away a free coaching series. I'm going to give them 5 free coaching sessions, and we'll do a drawing, and I'll get all these business cards. And so you end up with a fishbowl full of business cards, and there you are, and you're going to pull one out. Well, you can imagine that some of those people who were walking by your booth were genuinely interested in hiring a coach and paying that coach. What are the chances that the cards you pull out for these free sessions are actually that person who would have paid for your services? And so let's not do that. Let's give away something that is kind of related to what it is that we ultimately do, that they would view of being of great value, but you're not giving away what it is that you're actually trying to sell. And so for those of you that are involved in the ChangeWorks side of things, you could be giving away a screening level ChangeWorks profile to anybody who wants to it, because we know that that is not what you're actually trying to sell. You want to sell whatever the ongoing coaching services or training services or whatever. And so you got something you can leverage as part of an intake system and still not be giving away what you're trying to sell. So we'll get into that in grand detail. I know I keep saying that, but it's a 52-week program. This is week 1, so give me a break. So next thing, very important. People in the business of helping expect to be paid because they deserve to be paid for the value they bring. You got to get that locked in as one of your core beliefs. You should expect to be paid because you deserve to be paid. So now I'm not a big one for imagining success is going to find me and being there it is. I believe there's work to be done, but I know this: I am more likely to do the right things, and I'm more likely to do the right things more frequently if I expect that as a result of doing them, I will be paid. One of the things you'll hear me say is that hope is not a strategy. So how many of you are going out there talking to people and spreading the word, hoping that someone will want to engage your services and hoping that they will see your value and hoping that they will actually pay you? Hope is not a strategy. Get this locked in your mind. You should have a very clear expectation that you can put it at the universal level if you want to, or you can put it at the practical level. You should expect that the people in the population you are targeting will pay you because you deserve to be paid. And so I didn't say that you should expect to be paid because they know they need your services. You should expect to be paid because you deserve to be paid for whatever it is. If you don't have that expectation or you don't feel you deserve it, we got a problem we're going to need to fix sooner rather than later. Okay, just a couple more. People that are in the business of helping recognize that the best way for them to be of service to others is to be financially strong themselves. If you really want to help people, and so many of the people who enter this industry say that, I really want to help people, I just want to help people. If that is actually true, and you really do want to help as many people as you possibly can, then you will devote your life to building the strongest business you possibly can. The stronger your business is, the more resources you have. The more resources you have, the more people you will be able to help, not only for a fee, but even for free. If you build a business that gets big enough and strong enough financially, why can't you become an organization that is doing more philanthropic kind of work? And so, but I know this, if you are struggling, you will not be able to help other people for very long because you're not helping yourself first. And so you recognize that the best way for you to be of service to others is to be financially strong yourself. Don't feel guilty about that, wanting that, pursuing that. This is the way that it works. The people who give the greatest amount of money to charity are the people with the money to give away. And so, unless you are someone who is of independent means, maybe this is the year you need to put the majority of your energy into building the financial strength of your organization. Okay, I think there's just one more and then our time is up. At the same time, they give freely from the bounty they have earned. People that are in the business of helping are not selfish. They want to be of service to others and they do give. but they give thoughtfully and they give carefully. They give in a way that helps others without harming themselves. And so I don't want you to think that just because we're emphasizing the business of helping that I'm suggesting that greed should be your motivator. You can still have that motivator of being of service to others, but you have to build it before you can give it.